My name is Brendan Dempsey. I worked on the docks for 40 years, from 1963 to 2003.
Wow. And what kind of position did you have on the dock?
I was a casual docker. Also, I held a permanent job as mechanical driver.
All right. The button, you talked about the button.
Yeah.
You didn't have a button?
No, I didn't have a button.
Okay.
So
what was the function or the role of the button then?
The role of the button was, the button was brought out, I think, around 1946.
Oh, right.
I have given a list of, my mother gave me a list of names. They're on the computer at the moment.
Okay.
With addresses. And these were men that we say got the button. The role of the button was the men that were on the docks all of their life. What you had, they had given their life to the docks. It was a way of safeguarding men's employment, rather than a man coming back, we say, that would know maybe a boss and
nod in the wind,
and so the button man, it was a way of safeguarding those men that worked there, that had given their life to working there, and they more or less would have to be employed first.
Yeah. How did they get the button in the first place?
Well, it was the union, as far as I know.
Okay.
The union issued the button, and as I said, it was the safeguard. It was brought out for that purpose.
So that would have been for the men who were recognised as being regular, kind of long-term workers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were recognised as the regular ones?
Yeah, they were registered and all with the government.
Oh, were they registered?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
They were,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what did it mean not to have a button then?
Well, as I said, there was men down there, even before I went down, they didn't have buttons. They were there longer than I was. And they were there, and they were casual workers, but they had to, as I said, there was always, we say, when the button man would be employed, then the casual man, then, or from the stand, they used to say, a boss would say, is there any more button men?
Right.
In other words, if he didn't know if there was any men there, then he'd start employing then casual men.
But everybody, the button men and the non-button men, all had to turn up for the read and still be picked out by the boss man. So between the button men, I mean, was it not a question of automatically saying, hands of all the button men, you're all employed, or would it just depend on how many men they needed on the day?
The way they used to do it was, just supposing we say a company wanted, we say 2 gangs.
Right.
There'd be a man at the end of the stand.
Yeah.
Right? The boss is picking out the men. He would say, call the name, I won't mention names, he'd call out, he'd know them and he'd call them out because they're good workers and they were able to do this type of thing, and they work for this particular company quite a lot. So the boss would know them and he'd know their capabilities and he'd know. So when he'd call the name, you would walk out and you'd have a card.
Right.
I've given them my father's card is on the computer.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know whether you've looked at it.
Not yet, yeah.
But you'd hand your card then to this man, and he'd take. Now the boss might want a gang. He might want 12 men. Right. And that'd be 1 gang. Yeah. Then he might want 3 gangs. So he'd go through that 3 times. Okay. And then you'd be told. Most cases you'd know where your ship is, what ship you're going to. Right. And you'd be told what hatch to go to. Oh, right, okay. And always, the button men would always be sent to the heaviest hatch, or the best cargo. Right. Because if they were sent to the wrong hatch, there could be stuff, we'd say, that wouldn't be, see, you were paid for particular cargo, we'd say, if stuff could be heavier, and it could be better paid in this hatch than that hatch. Right. So that's how the button men, they always got the cream, if you like. Yeah.
It sounds quite complex the way it was organised. That is, there's a value in different hatches, and people had to be aware of all these different factors.
If you were sent to the wrong hatch and it was discovered, the first gang would claim the money.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh,
they would have to. They'd have to claim them.
They're supposed to get the best one anyway.
We're in the wrong hatch. This is not the heaviest hatch.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Or that's the way that.
Yeah. Okay. From what you saw and experienced on the docks, can you describe what was life like for a man who didn't have a button, a casual dock worker? Well, I think you've said a little bit about that they would be the ones to get picked last.
Well,
from what you saw.
A lot of times, you'd go down in the morning, you'd be there for a raid. If you didn't get a job, what you do is you'd have to walk up to the labour exchange.
Right.
And maybe sign the labour and go home for the day.
Right, okay.
Right, that went on quite a lot. Also, there was 3 raids in the morning. There was one at 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So, men that wouldn't get a job, we say, at 8 o'clock, they would know possibly that there's 2 other ships due for 10:30.
Right.
They're out in the bay. They're waiting for the tide.
Right.
Right? Or the tugs has gone out to bring them up.
Wow.
So, and it'd come 10:30, the company then, the boss would come around at 10:30, and he'd pick out for that ship.
So the second raid?
Yeah. There's also another raid 11:30.
Right.
And that's the way the raid went. Now, there was companies down there. There was one company in particular, I won't mention the name, but they were famous for giving you what they call a half a buzzer. And a half a buzzer was they'd sack you before 12 o'clock and you'd only get a half a day's pay.
Right. Okay. So you might have been called at an 8 o'clock read, you'd only get the morning's work, and that'd be it then.
Yeah, but that ship could last a week, it could last 2 days, depending on how much cargo was in it, how big the ship was and how much cargo was in the ship. But that's what used to happen. You'd also have some men, they wouldn't stand in for a raid. The first raid could be not a good job, if you like.
Okay, right. They were particular about which ones they were going to go for,
you had, and they let that, and they tried to maybe go to a ship that they would know would be due for 10:30.
Right.
Which would be better paying job.
Yeah. So would that mean then that the non-button men would sometimes know that if they turned up for the first read, they have a better chance of getting a job because some of the button men wouldn't have gone for that? Would it work like that as well?
Yeah, because you can't blame them.
Of course.
They're going to. If you have it, that's the way it works.
The other guys aren't going to take the job, well, they could get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the casual and for the button men who wouldn't be picked on the first read then, so they were kind of left hanging around the docks for a couple of hours until they had a chance to see. Yeah. And what was that like? What did they do then during that time?
A lot of men used to play cards and go for walks or, come up to the labour, not go back down, not going back down, or go home. So
it really was casual in that sense.
Yes, it was.
And making a comparison between that and the button men wouldn't. Some of them would have had to wait around from one read to the next, I suppose, if they weren't all picked on the.
Oh yes, they would, or they would know what shipping, or they might say, "Come back tomorrow, there's a better job," or something like that.
Okay.
They used it, but they worked hard. I mean, they worked hard.
Yeah.
I mean, not taken from my own father. I remember my own father coming in, he couldn't open his laces. Yeah. I often done for him. Yeah.
Did casual dock workers have alternative means of income or employment?
No.
They really depended on that.
Possibly, there might have been a few that had other interests, but I'd never gotten involved.
They would have been dependent.
I wouldn't.
And how did button men view the casual dockers, and vice versa?
Well, button men viewed them because some of them were their sons and relations. I was the son of a button man.
Yeah.
So, by and large, they were okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd get a bit of resentment from a casual man.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him. He's in my way, or he's getting, they're getting a job that's,
that's understandable.
You had a bit of resentment there, all right, with some men, and then you had, we say, a man that would be on, we say a casual man that would be on the docks for a good few years, and then you had maybe a son coming down only, starting, and maybe there would be maybe a bit of resentment towards him because he's in my way now because his son his father's a bar.
Right.
And, this is what happened.
Yeah.
So you can understand that.
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
I'm all my life, I'm a casual man, and he's coming down now, and he's in front of me now. Yeah. He's in front of me for the job, and it's,
It sounds like a way of creating a division amongst the workforce.
Pardon?
It's very divisive.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to explain it, but,
But did the bosses, I mean, must have been aware that this did create resentment? I mean, did they use that to their own advantage, or did they just not care about it? Because they didn't have to necessarily put up with the consequence.
I tell you, in some cases it was known. I won't mention.
Okay.
There was one company, and the weekend was good pay on the weekend, working Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes there would be maybe button men employed that wouldn't come out. Maybe they might have been sick or something, or on the drink maybe a Saturday night, and they wouldn't come out with Sunday, and they would be employed specifically so as boss would know they won't be out. So my son is a casual man, so he'll be sacked, and I'll bring my son up and I'll get my son down.
Right.
So that kind of went on a bit too,
Yeah.
And that was well known, but nobody could ever prove it.
Yeah, but that sounds like normal.
Yeah.
Kind of behaviour in that very open, fluid situation where the power of choosing the workers was in the boss's
that was
hands.
I mean, the man that picked out was very powerful.
Yes.
He could say whether you're going to have money or bread or food or they had a very
they had started off as casual dockers or button men themselves, and how did they end up being bosses?
They would have. They were button men themselves, but
Yeah, they ended up in those positions.
Yeah. In some cases, Other cases, I don't know how, whether it was going way back before my time,